This is another one of those little known health benefits or health enhancing benefits. It's from Nattokinase and Serrapeptase. These are probably not well known. I knew about this for years, but I tell people 99% of them don't do it anyway. And it's not something you really have to do every day so much. It's a matter of probably a good idea to take a supplement of these natural things and cycle them in every once in a while. Nattokinase is from the Japanese cheese natto, and it's been consumed for thousands of years in Japan. And as usual, mostly the Japanese are far ahead of anybody in the West in many areas, and I think also in Asia. I actually kind of think they're the best in the world, to tell you the truth, although I'm not Japanese. Serrapeptase is the enzyme from the Japanese silkworm, and that's been used in Germany for the last 30 years, and basically helping to clear up arteries. And this is highly interesting because it has a lot of applications. It just goes on. You know, I know a lot of people know the silent killer is heart attack or stroke, and usually these are for older people. But these they also have some other applications, and they're pretty slick. And I'll just get into them real quick. Or you can get the stuff I think is the best deal, the best quality, best price, and it's another place I go to. It says unnecessary blood clots may form in your blood vessels and trigger a heart attack or stroke. Happens to millions of Americans every year, often leading to permanent disability or death. It's like the silent killer. Everybody, you feel fine, and all of a sudden, wham, something happens because you have a clot in an area that is feeding blood to your brain or something. A clot, technically known as a thrombus, we'll just call it a clot, forms when platelets of red blood cells clump together. It's the blood protein fibrin that glues them together. Okay? Enter nattokinase. Now, it's found in nature in a Japanese cheese called natto, which they've been eating for thousands of years. Nothing wrong with it. It says, fortunately, nature has provided us with a way to augment our gradually diminishing clot-busting activity. In 1980, while studying physiological chemistry at the University of Chicago Medical School, a Japanese researcher, Hiroyuki Sumi, accidentally discovered that a traditional food, natto, had the ability to dissolve clots. He and his fellow research group published a brief paper on the discovery in 1987 describing the strong clot-dissolving activity of the fermented soy cheese natto. So later on, the Sumi research group was able to purify and identify a specific enzyme from the soy cheese that he called this enzyme nattokinase. Because natto had been widely eaten in Japan for over thousands of years, Dr. Sumi felt safe in doing some tests with humans and animals with the nattokinase. So in 1990, and you see this is pretty recent stuff. Now, it didn't even get out, more. It's not even, this is not commonly known, so I'm putting it out here. In 1990, the Sumi research group published the results of the series of experiments demonstrating nattokinase's potent fibrinolytic activity. It works against inflammation, and like when you also have scar tissue from surgery. Now, it's not good to do after you have a surgery, but say you have this scar tissue that's been in your body for a long time, it just doesn't seem to dissolve. People have fibromyalgia. I don't understand what that is, but some people have that, and they take this stuff, and it does reduce the swelling because it reduces the scar tissue, reduces the fluids in the body that from the scar tissue that are around the scar tissue. It does work. In 1995, M. Fujita and his colleagues reported their results with rats and nattokinase. That's the enzyme from the natto cheese. The cardiac artery, which feeds the brain, was endangered to induce thrombus formation, clot formation, which completely blocked the artery. 3 enzymes, elastase, plasmine, and nattokinase, were tested on rats. After 1 hour, elastase, which had produced no reopening of the blocked artery whatsoever. plasmin restored about 16% of normal circulation in 1 hour. But the Nattokinase, which is from the natto cheese, succeeded in restoring the brain circulation 62%. The blood circulation to the brain 62%. As the researchers modestly concluded, the results indicated that the clot dissolving activity of nattokinase is stronger than that of the stuff used in established medicine. I'll just put it that way. In 1994, an amazing case was reported demonstrating nattokinase's ability to restore blood circulation. And this is a good case here. A 58-year-old man suffered from central retinal vein occlusion of his right eye and came into a hospital. The clot had caused fluid accumulation and bleeding in the eye, leading to a loss of vision. So the researchers prescribed 100 grams, 3-ounce dose of natto to be eaten before bed every night as a way to get nattokinase to his eye. He was also prescribed a drug to reduce the blockage-induced bleeding, right? By the 10th day, the bleeding was halted. By the 20th day, his eye circulation had so improved that his vision returned, and he was released from the hospital. And then he continued to eat natto for 2 days weekly, and 2 months later, a retinal angiogram showed a complete clearing of the retinal blockage. So he was 100% good. And this stuff, and basically if you're just eating natto cheese, that's all you got to be doing. It's that good. Now there's some words of caution about doing too much of this, and I'll get into that at the end here, and also where to get this stuff. High quality and very cheap, and you don't need to take this every day. This is something like you might want to cycle in every once in a while. Serrapeptase is an enzyme derived from Serrapeptase, which lives in the intestinal tract of the silkworms. Serrapeptase, and I'll just get into this, what this is here. It's actually the stuff that the Japanese silkworm uses to dissolve the cocoon it comes out of. It doesn't harm any living cell whatsoever, only dissolves dead tissue. And I know they don't go into that in this article, but that's why it's extremely safe. It's like it'll only take out the bad plaque in the arteries and veins. Does not touch one living cell. So that's why it's like a super microsurgery at a cellular level. Actually, what's going on? And I'm going to get ahead on this a little bit too. I'm just going to say something. Well, let me just say this first. Read this first. Hans Neipert, a pioneering medical doctor in Germany, had recommended Serrapeptase for decades to gradually reduce plaque buildup. Now, I've also read that in Germany, it's maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but this is what they do in Germany. All right, they'll do is they'll give this stuff Serrapeptase to people, and they'll wait. And a lot of times when they have to do these triple, quadruple bypasses and stuff like that, they'll be canceled. They won't have to do them. They'll try this first, and a lot of times it works. So I've read in Germany. Now in the United States, I never heard of this being done, but I guess a couple bottles of, I can't say that 2 bottles of this is worth more than a triple bypass. But in Germany, they tried this first, okay? They tried this first. It says Serrapeptase has been shown to be well absorbed from the intestinal tract, although it must be coated to protect it from degradation in the stomach. So they coat the tablets so the enzyme can pass through the stomach where it gets attacked by digestive, enzymes or whatever, so it can get to the intestinal tract where it goes into the bloodstream, and then it does its thing where the enzyme from the Japanese silkworm will dissolve slowly plaque buildup in the arteries. So to me, I think this is a super slick idea because it works, and they do it in Germany and they do this in Japan. In the United States, I don't think they do this. Not much. Maybe they are starting to now. But I never heard anybody I know that goes to these doctors, which I'd never touch one, You know, to tell you the truth, I'm so anti-doctor. You will not believe it. I don't want them touching, going near me, man. No way. But the this thing I think is an extremely slick idea, and you know, for the price of this Japanese ass silkworm enzyme, it could possibly do you a lot of good. Now, there's reasons for not doing too much of this, and I'll get into that. Also, it's talking about Nattokinase, going back to Nattokinase, is naturally present and absorbed from natto, which has been consumed safely in Japan for thousands of years. Serrapeptase has been safely and widely used in Europe and Asia for more than 30 years, primarily Germany and Japan. Now, this is very important. Not everybody should take Nattokinase and Serrapeptase. People with bleeding disorders such as hemophilia, definitely not. And people with ongoing bleeding problems, including ulcers, recent surgery, major trauma. Like, in other words, if you have something where you just had some kind of accident and it was internal injuries and you're waiting to heal, you should never take this. Here, you know, anything that's bleeding internally, you should not take this, because it's going to encourage the area not to, you know, clot over or heal over. But if you have a surgery from years ago and there's scar tissue in your body from that it may be a good idea to take some of these things, because it would help dissolve the scar tissue that's in the body from something that is completely healed up. But if you have some kind of ongoing internal bleeding problem, you do not ever want to take this. That's a word of caution. Now, the best place to get it, I think, is this, from SwansonVitamins.com. This is triple strength, nattozymes, Nattokinase, the same thing. I got this product from them, and you know, it's the people. I mean, the reviews on it are good. I mean, I've been using it. You know, didn't kill me or nothing. Okay, it's not supposed to. I mean, it's supposed to be actually good to do this and cycle it in every once in a while. You don't need to take this every day, but it is taken on an empty stomach, both the Nattokinase and the Serrapeptase. This is called Nattozymes, but all the reviews on it are very high. You know, people had good results with it. Also, from Swanson Vitamins, I found them to be the best deal. Serrapeptase, also the reviews on it very high, and I've used these products from these people, and I think quality and as far as the price, I don't sell for these people. I mean, for these specific items, Serrapeptase and a Nattokinase, I know they call it Nattozymes, this is going to be your best deal. So as far as you know, this recommendation I'm kind of stating here, I think this is an extremely slick idea. A lot of people have problems with blood circulation and whatever the heck it is, and it's probably smart to cycle this in every once in a while. But you do take these two things in on an empty stomach, and it may be one of these things where you're thinking it's not doing anything, but maybe it's preventing something. But you don't need to do this every day. I mean, you probably would cycle it in for about a month, and you know, not bother with it for a couple months and try it for a month. It's not really an exact science as to how much of this stuff to take, but it is safe, because like Nattokinase has been consumed from Japan, and you know, for thousands of years in a cheese natto, and Serrapeptase, they've been using that in Germany and Japan for at least 30 years, and it comes from the Japanese silkworm, and it's the enzyme that dissolves the cocoon of the Japanese silkworm. It does not harm one living cell at all. It only dissolves dead tissue. So that's why it's absolutely totally benign to the body, and it just will work and do its thing, clearing up arteries and things like that on the inside of the body. And I think it's a very slick idea. Price-wise, you can't beat it.